Hi guys, today I'm going to continue my budget series on commanders that let you play other people's cards. In this episode I'll showcase Evelyn the Covetous, a 5 Grixis mana vampire rogue with flash that exiles the top card of each player's library whenever she or another vampire enters the battlefield, and also grants the ability to play the exiled cards once each turn. Looking at the deck from very far, it almost seems like a vampire tribal with a whopping 28 vampires and several ways to make vampire tokens, but this couldn't be further from the truth. In decades-old Grixis tradition, life is a resource, especially the lives of our vampire coven members, whose sole purpose is to net us value simply by entering the battlefield. Apart from our draft chaff,
How dare you!
the deck is as expected very commander-centric, and revolves around keeping Evelyn alive and well, and ramping as hard as possible. Additionally, since every vampire essentially has, when this creature enters the battlefield, draw 4 cards, the deck has 0 draw effects. This is fine. All in all, this is very beginner-friendly deck that is easy to pilot, provides very diverse type of gameplay, that makes every game unique, and of course is quite cheap for EDH standards. The only con I can find is that it is very commander-centric, so if someone steals Evelyn, continuously targets her, or if an effect stops you from having access to your commander, then well, things get rather difficult. Now without further ado, let's start off with the creatures. The majority of the vampires I picked were considered primarily for their low mana cost, and only secondary for any utility they may provide, if any. In the 1 mana draw 4 category are Bolt Impaler, Changeling Outcast, Cutthroat Contender, Falkenrod Gorger, Falkenrod Pit Fighter, Gul'dan's Vampire, Indulgent Aristocrat, Insolent Neonate, Pulse Tracker, Quack Vampires, Shadow Alley Denizen, Vicious Conquistador, Visceroseer, Voldaren Epicure, and finally Voldaren Stinger. 2 mana vampires are Bloodseeker, Bloodcrazed Paladin, which is good after a board wipe, Bloodtide Harvester, Olivia's Bloodsworn, Dust Legion Zealot, who come to think of it actually draws 5 cards upon entering, Gatekeeper of Malakir for the occasional pay 1 black to make someone sacrifice a creature, No Priest of Oblivion, mostly in case we swim in mana, or something very bad happened to Evelyn, Vampire Hexmage for the potential to one-shot planeswalkers, Voldaren Bloodcaster, and Bloodthorn Vampire. The deck has a few more expensive vampires such as Stormcube Captain, whose first strike given ability is very good defensive too, Toll and Mauler, and Anya Maid of Dishonor for the occasional blood value. Similar to my Sand Triplets build, the artifacts are mostly mana rocks that ensure we have the means to cast whatever we have stolen from our opponents, with the noticeable difference that we can now freely include colorless mana rocks because of Evelyn's ability. Those include Sol Ring at 1 CMC, Arcane Signet, Dimir Signet, Izzet Signet, Rakdos Signet, Firewall Stone, Mind Stone, Liquid Metal Torque, Prismatic Lens, Star Compass, and Talisman of Creativity at 2 CMC. A few mana rocks cost 3 or more, such as Midnight Clock, The Celestus, Cultivator's Caravan, Worn Power Stone, Hydron Archive, and Ever-Flowing Chalice as a Skylink mana rock. The few other artifacts are here to provide various utility in the deck. Swiftfoot Boots to keep Evelyn safe, Golden Argosy to get crewed by all our creatures and thus blink them to exile even more cards, Glasscast Heart for making cheap vampire and occasional blood tokens. Last but not least is Maskwood Nexus, which makes opponents' creatures that we play count as vampires too, thus creating a self-sustaining value engine with our commander, provided we are not playing against 3 Spellslinger decks, and can also be used to pay 3 and tap it to create a 2/2 Changeling token that is also a vampire. As last time, I'll also mention the enchantments along with the artifacts. First off, Call the Bloodline, which makes the vampire token for the small price of 1 mana and discarding a useless card. Lastly are Reflection Shot Litara and Molten Echoes, both of which make tokens of vampires, with the first making permanent ones on cast, and the second creating temporary tokens upon entering the battlefield. Both of those enchantments essentially double Evelyn's value. The instant and sorcery sections consist mainly of spells that protect or synergize with Evelyn. such as Feign Death, Supernatural Stamina, Undying Malice, Demonic Gifts, Fake Your Own Death, Essence Flux, and Teferi's Time Twist are spells that protect the commander in various ways. It is important to note that each time the commander is saved with those spells, her ETB triggers and exiles 4 more cards. Now for some draw options. Now I know I said there are no draw options in the deck, and that is true since those cards are not draw, they are draw. Anyway, those include 3 mana draw 8 with Ghostly Flicker and Displace, and if this sounds too tasty to be true and you are hungry for more, here is another draw 8 this time for 5 mana, but with an additional upside. For Bold Lives I chose Necromantic Selection, Ingaruk's Wake, and Starstorm for their overall utility and versatility. As expected from a budget deck, the mana base is modest, but I am content with the way they turn out. First off is Command Tower, followed by Spire of Industry and Exotic War card. Coming up are the Tribal Lands, Voldaren Estate, Unclaimed Territory, and Path of Ancestry. The 3 Bounce Lands, Dimir Aqueduct, Rakdos Carnarium, and Izzet Bulwarks. The 3 Temples, Temple of the Sea, Temple of Epiphany, and Temple of Malice. Other multicolored lands include Chalk Estuary, Smoldering Marsh, Sunken Hollow, Shivan Reef, and Crumbling Necropolis. Finally, the deck runs 2 islands, 4 mountains, and 11 swamps. Because of the nature of these decks, the great options are relatively limited and tame. Those include Better Vampires, Gul'Dar's Assassin, Vampire of the Dire Moon, and Bloodghast, or different packages such as Blink, which includes Conjurer's Closet, Tassa the Deep Dwelling, and Displacer Kitten, and can increase the number of spells that you see and play in a turn with Evelyn. Another option is the Conspiracy package, with Conspiracy, Arcane Adaptation, and Xenograft, which, as I mentioned when I discussed Maskwood Nexus, allow you to proc Evelyn whenever you play an opponent's creature too, thus turning her into an even stronger value engine. Panharmonicon is also a nice upgrade that doubles the amount of cards that we can see whenever a vampire enters the battlefield. The rest of the upgrades are in the mana front, Tron Dynamo, Secluded Courtyard, and the usual good stuff, Triumph, Shocks, etc. Well, this is my budget deck take on Evelyn the Covetous. The price breakdown as of recording of this video is $61 on Card Kingdom and $39 on TCG Player Market. For fellow Europe-based players, the deck price on Card Market is around €42, 10 of which being shipment, and this may vary depending on your location or selected sellers. All cards are selected in English language with excellent earn-up condition. As usual, you can find a full deck list in the description below. I hope that you like this video and that it will be useful for you when you build your own version. Cheers!